There is absolutely nothing boring about these tyres. These are some of the most exciting tyres I've ever had on the 79 Series Cruiser, and I really want to talk to you guys about them. These are the Yokohama Geolandar XMTs, the G005s, and they're absolutely brilliant, so stick around and listen. Now, when I first put these on, they're actually, if you look at their website, it says something like they are engineered for rock crawling and lots of mud and stuff like that. They have extra sidewall ply, extra sidewall protection, like they're really extreme tyres. And to drive from the Sunshine Coast to Cairns, before I even hit the dirt, I thought, geez, I've got like 2,000 kilometres on bitumen. These things are going to be noisy as hell. They're going to be horrible tyres. Maybe I should get them fitted in Cairns. But I didn't. I wanted to test them on the bitumen for all of you and give you guys a perspective from someone that's going to travel across all sorts of surfaces, how these tyres are going to perform. And I was absolutely amazed. They were less noisy than the last set of tyres that I had on the vehicle. I'm always running the Geolandars because, well, I've had all sorts of tyres, but lately Geolandars, I've had the G003s, I've had the G017s and the G005s. I just trust them. I spent a lot of time in Cape York. My name is Nath, I'm from Wild Reaches. I spend like half of my year in Cape York exploring the most remote tracks up there and living off the land, having all sorts of fun. I really rely on this vehicle, and obviously the tyres are the closest point to the road, so I really rely on my tyres, and that's why I run Yokohama Geolandars. Now, how did they perform? Like I said, they weren't noisy. I was absolutely amazed. The whole 2,000 kilometres to Cairns on bitumen, before I even hit the dirt, I was super impressed. They weren't noisy. They look badass. They're the most exciting tyres I've had on the 79 Series. I really love the look of it, the way the Cruiser sits on top of them. This crazy looking sidewall, but that's all looks, you know, that's one thing. How do they perform off-road? Well, on the Corrugated Tracks, they were like any other tyre really. I dropped my tyre pressures. A lot of people drop them right down on Corrugated Tracks when you hit Cape York or the Kimberleys, the Gibb River Road, things like that. I like to drop my tyres about 5 or 10 PSI, a little bit less on the front than I do on the back. Drop that air out just a little bit, just to give your suspension a little bit more help, but let your shock absorbers do the work. So on the Corrugated Tracks, they were good. They were like any other Geolander I've had. Unfortunately, I went up on this trip was the end of the dry season, so there wasn't a lot of mud, but the mud that I did go through, it just flicked it out, displaced that mud really well, just like the G003s did. They were a really good tyre. Whereas some of the other tyres, you know, your mud gets stuck in the lugs and they end up being like slicks, and you might as well have bloody road tyres on. So these things displaced the mud really well. What I did find, the best environment that I found these really performed better than any other tyre I've had was that kind of shaly, rocky country where I let my tyres down to about 20-25 PSI, so they bellow out a bit, you get a nice big footprint, and these things just really gripped well. I had the camera down nice and low, and I had the Cruiser in first gear, low range, and I had my foot just on the accelerator, just like a tractor crawling up these hills, and these tyres that you could feel the lugs grab and really give you that traction. A few of the times I had to put the foot down, and you can really hear the Cruiser work, and the tyres would spin and you'd see them catch that traction and get you up the hill. So I think they performed really well all around, and I was genuinely surprised. When you guys look at these tyres, you're going to think, you know, you're going to think, they're suitable for like a rock crawler that you put it on a trailer, get it out of town, then get it off the trailer and hit the tracks, but they're not. Well, they would be good for that, but they're not just designed for that. Well, I found them very useful for everything. Like I say, I drove nearly 2,000 kilometres on bitumen before I even hit the tracks, and I didn't have a trouble at all. Now, how are you going to go on wet bitumen? I did put that through its paces because we had Cyclone Jasper come through when I was coming back down the coast around the Cairns area. I hit that wet bitumen and had a couple of days of rain, and I'm a bit biased because I've always had four-wheel drives, I've always had mud tyres, I've played around with all sorts of mud tyres, and I suppose I drive accordingly. So I'm probably not the best person to ask, but I didn't lose traction once. You know, around roundabouts, I like to just give it a little bit and see how far you can push it. I am quite top heavy, so I don't push it very far, but I didn't lose traction once. I found that they were just brilliant in all conditions, and I'm really surprised. So don't go into the shop, see these big lugs and think they're too big and badass for your car. Give them a crack, because I think they're really good tyres. So drop into your local Bob Jane T-Marts. There's got to be a store near you. There's stores all around the country, and ask the experts what's suitable for your car. There's lots of Yokohama Geolandars. What's going to be suitable for your next adventure, but don't rule out the XMT G005s, because I think they're great tyres.